live in Tanzania, you get offered the 4 or 5 years I spent living in Dar es Salaam, and I was only reluctantly dragged kicking and screaming back to London about 6 months ago. So you should really live there. I guess the question is, should you also invest there? And that's what I'll be trying to look at. And what I'd like to do is just give you a brief outline of the Actis infrastructure business, so who we are, and then some of our experience investing in Tanzania, and then have a brief look at what the opportunities are and the challenges that Tanzania faces going forward. And by the way, I think the answer to that question is yes, you should. But we'll come to. I think some of the earlier investments, like the Tanzania Wattle Company, which is a timber plantation near Mbeya. The Tanzania Tea Packers, the producers of chai bora, is also an Actis investment. Capital is Capital Property and is an Actis investee company. And then with a special place in my heart anyway is the Songas business, which I spent 4 years running in Dar es Salaam. And it's an integrated gas to electricity business, and it supplies about a third of Tanzania's electricity. I can't quite avoid just doing a little bit more on Songas. I think it's important for 2 reasons. One is it's one of the largest investments that Actis has done anywhere. It's one of the largest in Tanzania, and secondly, it shows that significant, complex, difficult transactions can be done in Tanzania. They can be done successfully. So I'm not going to do a long spiel about Songas now. If anyone wants to talk to me afterwards, you're most welcome. But just some of the highlights. It's 180 megawatts. Integrated gas to electricity. That means it starts with the Songa gas field. We're in the wells, the processing plant, the pipeline that takes import savings for oil, which would otherwise have had to been burnt to produce that power. And over its life, it's expected to be well in excess of $5 billion. So the project, that's a little bit about the Songas project. I think one of the things that on this slide I wanted to highlight is, we're only interested in doing projects that are a big benefit for the country as well as good for investors. And I think if there are investors thinking about doing something in Tanzania, you can be successful and you can make really good investments for your shareholders and your investors, but only if they're also extremely good for the country and for the economy at large. So Songas has been something that has been a big win, sometimes misunderstood, I think, in Tanzania, and sometimes lumped in with projects that haven't been so good. But at the macro scale, it's been extremely good for Tanzania. So that's just a little bit about Actis. About some of the experience we've had investing around the world and particularly in Tanzania, and particularly one project in Songas. And if anything, that Songas project shows that it can be done, and there are others beginning to move forward to sort of, in some ways, emulate that model, in some ways different. What I wanted to look at just now is, well, what are the challenges that I think Tanzania faces right now and the opportunities. In I think it was August, perhaps September of last year, I had the wonderful opportunity to participate in a presentation by the CEO Roundtable to His Excellency the President. And we decided in that presentation not to talk about the legislative environment, the regulatory reform, the aspects of the judiciary and security and so on. Because all of those things have been talked about a lot of times, and the World Bank and other multilaterals and donor agencies, and a number of other forums address those issues. What we decided to do was talk about what vision could there be for Tanzania? What could Tanzania be in 10 years' time? What are the big things it could be doing? And we talked a bit about what we've just heard on the transit trade through the port and into the hinterland, into the eastern Congo, Burundi, Rwanda, and so on. There's a big opportunity for Dar es Salaam to be a hub for trade. We also talked about the really large possibilities for Tanzania to grow its mining industry. And it could be a leader in developing a swathe of mining that runs right through from the sort of northwest of Tanzania down through Congo and into Zambia, and could be a route in for a lot of players in that area. We talked about the possibilities for oil and gas expansion and the number of new finds. There are at least 3 other fields now which have gas, apart from the Songo field, which Songas was associated with, and those are beginning to get into a position where they can come online. And we talked about electricity generation and Tanzania's potential to be the energy hub